It's widely believed that the tolerant and compassionate left have gone off course in recent years. But this is a false assumption, because they're behaving as they always have done. The modern left was born in the French Revolution, and the radicals of that period talked of compassion, equality, and tolerance too. But they behaved by screaming abuse and hatred at their rivals. They censored all culture they disagreed with. They tore down statues, banned speakers, closed plays, burned books, and destroyed art. And they invented cancel culture by beheading anyone they disagreed with. Karl Marx and all his peers kept alive this tradition of abuse, hatred, intolerance, and cancellation, though restrained by the law, as are today's fanatics, they stopped short of actually murdering them. But the left were back to their usual tricks in the 20th century. A string of socialist states, based entirely on hatred, scream denunciations, censorship, the destruction of art and culture, and a mania for annihilating all their rivals, sprang into life across the globe. The costs were horrific. Free inquiry died along with free speech. Progress stopped dead. Culture was obliterated. Hatred and the fear of cancellation dominated those societies. Witch hunts were everywhere, and millions of people died. So today's radicals haven't driven the left off course. They're keeping alive the movement's most characteristic traditions. Let's take Mao's Red Guards. They brimmed over with belief in their own virtue, and were determined to remake the world by trashing the capitalist and imperialist past. To this end, they went on the greatest iconoclasm in history, destroying statues, buildings, art, and literature in an attempt to obliterate Chinese history. The Nazis, Soviets, Jacobins, and Khmer Rouge had done the same, and our current clueless radicals are emulating them, aping the behaviour of all the very worst people in history. We just saw a classic example of Red Guard behaviour when students at a Pennsylvania high school filmed themselves clearing out books by white authors from their school library before hurling them in the trash. In doing so, they're destroying books they have never read, preventing other people from being able to access ideas their radical teachers have been brainwashing them to hate. And just like the Red Guards, they're taking delight in their destruction, in their close-minded and censorious arrogance. This is what the West is now increasingly succumbing to. School students, so twisted by radical left-wing lies that they're enthusiastically destroying books, ideas, and learning, joyously trying to extinguish an entire culture, their own culture. And of course, they don't just attack ideas, they attack people. The far left have always preferred abuse and scream denunciations to any sort of civil debate, and this tendency is on the rise once more. In Yale, law students at one of America's most prestigious universities just screamed down a seminar on free speech, the modern left's greatest enemy. But even worse scenes erupted at Texas State University. Jeff Younger had been invited in to give a talk by the Conservative Society. Younger has been involved in a dispute with his ex-wife for years. She's been encouraging the transition of the pair's son from a very early age. Some reports suggest she began the process when the boy was 2, but all agree it was a well-advanced case by the time he was just 6. Jeff, the boy's father, resisted this, but he suffered a series of legal defeats. This is clearly a contentious issue, well worth a discussion, but not to the radical left, of course. The concepts of debate and tolerance are alien to them. Jeff Younger was screamed down before he could even open his mouth. They hurled abuse at him, prevented him from expressing any ideas, and one of the youngsters, all dressed in Antifa's black bloc garb, even spat on him.
Hi, my name is Stephen Collins. It scared me out of You're not loud enough. Drown me out. No. 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 No.
Anti-speech Nazi!
Get your fucking camera away from me! Get your fucking camera away
Then
from
if
me!
you don't want to be in my camera, get out of the way!
You get the fuck out of here!
Give
Fuck
me your
you and
name!
your fucking camera!
Give me
My
your
name
name.
is Jay! Fuck you!
Good! Nice to meet you. Talk to me
No,
afterwards.
I don't want to talk to you! You're fucking disgusting!
Go ahead, hit me instead. All right. How about a name? Come on, give us your name. Come on, have some courage. No, I can't.
Did you grab my camera? Hey, police, I just got spit on.
Her name is Luna, not the dead name that you keep calling her.
I got it, man.
It's Sir!
Sorry, man.
Sir!
Man,
Is it respectful? Is it the police right here?
you're a woman.
He's a man! He's a man! He's more of a man than you are! He's more of a man than you are!
Listen, he actually believes that if someone disagrees with something, you can stand up and spit on it. That's how
Yes! This is not
miseducated you are.
disrespecting!
You are so miseducated.
It's what you should read it! You basically you've been having it to their face in front of me! You will pay for this!
All right, guys.
I'm 17 years old, I'm a political science student. My pronouns are he, they, and I'm trans. So you need to shut the fuck up and get the fuck off my campus now!
Now, I normally champion the concept of personal responsibility, but I have a certain amount of sympathy for these youngsters, because they've been utterly brainwashed by their pathological, radical professors. They've been fed a mountain of persuasive-sounding lies, and they've been encouraged to adopt the sort of behaviour that would be considered unacceptable at a 4-year-old's birthday party. As a result, they become ignorant, close-minded bullies, unpleasant, censorious tyrants who are alarmed by the thoughts of education, tolerance, civility, or compassion. Some claim that they've been indoctrinated into activism, but it's much more than that. This is a cult. It's a twisted religion, and it's corrupting and destroying a generation. And I'm not, of course, implying that a whole generation has fallen for this mania. It's to their enormous credit that so many young people treat this cult with the dismissive contempt it deserves. But those who have fallen for all the insidious indoctrination are by far the loudest and most influential of that generation. This is a lost generation. And they're taking their poisonous ideas into the workplace and company as well. There are many who are now claiming that the tide is turning against this mania. But it isn't. It's true that a fight back has begun, but that simply resulted in the most extreme of these cultists doubling down. This is all getting worse. And it's never going to get better if people just assume it will eventually go away. That will never happen. After all, we've seen that neither war nor pestilence can persuade them to pause their activism, or to pour cold water on their red-hot fervour. Nothing diverts them from their crazed manifesto. And the result is a warped world where men are encouraged to thrash women at sport, where a concerned father is screamed down as a fascist, and where children's author J.K. Rowling is widely damned as a hate preacher. We will need to take a firm stand to defeat all of this. And we need to start by pressing our governments to ensure that schools and universities clamp down on this sort of juvenile, censorious, and damaging behaviour. But if we do take such a stand, then we will win. After all, this is the other side's idea of civilised debate.
No. Shh. Is everything all right? Oh, look, more PC babies.
They're everywhere.
If you want to support this channel, please like, subscribe, and think about buying my books. They go into these topics in much more detail. They're called The Tyranny of the Left, and they're available on the links below. Please feel free to pick them up and let me know what you think. Thank you.